All right. I have stopped trying to figure out whether or not this is something I'm doing or whether it's revelation or whatever. I'm just the universe communicating. Uh, this body is not completely relevant because it has to be a particular node in the structural communicativity geodesic that we exist in, but um, it's relatively unimportant by comparison. So the categorizations that are easily applied through stereotypical understanding of the immediate environment due to social lenses that are conditioned over the last 100 years or so provide a wonderful and dramatic inverse irony relationship between what was necessary to accurately perceive what needs to happen next, by comparison to what is exquisitely refined out of causal mass in modern political leftist movements. So that's extremely useful from the perspective of like many things. Like this might be the direction, but we want to exclude it. It's literally just the opposite of what is considered desirable in modern prioritization of stuff. So I'm going to turn this around and take a look at how these cards fell apart. So we're all aware of like cards and random chance being important. I mean, I'm listening to some jazz with Peaky Blinders picture on it, and we know how Peaky Blinders chose to display Gypsy dependence on card reading. But it's statistically speaking, there's an extremely small chance that anything comes out at any given pattern. So there's value in that direction. Now, I got this while I was in jail using the cards to physically decide how many I'm going to do in the next set. And you go up to, depending on how you weight things, aces are 40, the way I'm doing them right now, and then the other ones are 10. The face cards are 10, but you could weight them however you want. Point is, right here, when I first threw the first three cards out, it came out as ace 2, so it's 42, which is the center of 7429. And then obviously this was 3. So of all the things, the 1/2, which controls the critical line, hadronization, and all these other things, right now I'm playing with the 1 and the 2 right on top of where 248 of the Lie group symmetry dimensions goes into the strong force at 841 because they're reflections, but it's +1. And then there's also the 1 into 2, and I'm trying to figure out if inside that 2 that you take out the 1 to make for the +1, if somehow that specific 2 is actually the divisor. So the divisor line might be functioning like a number sometimes and like a literal division line on other times. So it's like, is it a thing that's included or is it part of the seam? Included, part of the seam. Included, part of the seam. So what is that? It's a transform. That's the same thing as you put the methylation on, it passes by. When the methylation is not on there, if there's a signal, it picks it up. It's the same idea. Anyways, these were the numbers that came out. Obviously, I did 42. And then that had me thinking 7429. I wonder if that is some sort of inverse curve for the area, either one side or the other, of the cosine operation that we use to diffract or to read the spectrum of waveform information when we're doing the residual calculations of the videos, when you convert it from the incoming residuals into space, the spatial conformations of the actual pixelization. And we'll get into that later, but that's exactly the same thing as time diffusion. Time, well, it kind of is, isn't it? It's the churn of time based off of the time dilation. So based on how much the shutters are opening or closing, which is how much that cosine is being done, the cosine inverse transform, which is probably going to be very closely tied to the DOTTIE number, the Dottie number, which is 37, or 73, which is, gosh, how can you not see it? It's right there at 707, 719 at sine of 45 and 46, which is right there at the Lorentz force 0122. But the Dottie number at 73 is a reflection of the cosine, of the coupling constant at 137. So there's going to be ties there. It's going to be right there where the resonance of the guanine and structured water meet with the resonance of cesium, but I haven't refined that perfectly yet, but it's going to be real close because that's where you want to do the coupling, because that has no loss reflection of light information, and it can capture the eigenvalues of the light movement without having heat loss, and possibly add it. I'm not sure. We'll have to get into that. But and then so the next one was Queen Ace. I randomly pulled it out as Queen Ace, right? Okay, Q is for our, not quantum, but Q is for quality, the quality of the calculation. How much is being regularized out of the sacrifices that went, this heat sacrifices that went in to create this calculation? Did it, for the mass that it sacrificed, is this justified? Okay, that is a question for quality. The next one was J. J, Jesus, Jordan. Sorry to bring you in, Jordan. I didn't mean that. But Jesus, J, for J values in spectroscopy and the links between the bonds. Also J, as in if you watch some of my earlier very inspired, also insane videos with the J, with the I, and then you go into the numbers, the reflection of the numbers, the N, that, by God, I can't believe that I even thought about it like that at that time. But I was thinking of it as reflections off of the different signatures in the environment before I even knew anything about spectroscopy. I was just looking at fucking letters and assuming off of letters and the shapes, the phenotypal shapes of letters. I was assuming things that have become true as we increasingly understand how the physics of light resonance works. And that is just so freaking wild. It's unbelievable. But the way I see it is the fishing hook, the I, the imaginary, goes into the Hermitian matrix, which is a Taylor expansion, and then that hooks onto something and pulls it back. The quality of the fishing is what is determining the Q. So for the amount of computation that was done, how quality is the causal continuation, the causal from point 1 to point 2. This was relayed just like in the residuals of the FF MPEG MPEG file stuff that you saw with the traffic cone with that cool guy, Lex Friedman. All right, so then next, this was on top of here like this, and then I was like, oh, the next, because I couldn't believe that it would happen again just like that. And I was like, we're gonna save these two for later. And then the next one, I just had these weird feelings about it, and it came right up as the spade, which is 40, of course, and that's how many push-ups I have to do. But I'm gonna go ahead and reveal this, and let's see what it is. My God, isn't that the exact? So this magnitude, orders 10, so 3.162. The square root of 10 is 3.162. The square root of 3 is the scalar for G2 short to long symmetries at the half line, which was back here. J, fishing. You're fishing in magnitude. This is what you want. So somehow square root of pi, square root of 3, square root of pi, square root of 3, square root of pi, square root of 3. Okay, we might go out into the Hermitian matrix with the square root of pi from wherever our given level is. Then we come back and the quality control from the regularization at the 7th orbital level, because that's the interaction between everything, and the speed and the power of the 7th orbital. If this is 7, I'm gonna freak the fuck out. No, Queen, okay. God, what in the world? Got really good luck right now, guys. My luck is outrageous. So the quality, so K is the structure. Yes, K is the structure of the 7. That's right. K complexity, Bott periodicity. Okay, K complexity, Bott periodicity, the topological structure of the seams. You saw me talking about the trees earlier, so you have the leaf structure, the sheathing structure, and all of that. That's how when the wind comes through, it dampens. When the light comes through, it collects into the seams that have the greatest mass, so stress gets along the same mass as the electrical conduit. It's the same locations that have the highest degrees of mass in order to meet the environment and communicate information. Now, what's fascinating, or energy and the process of photosynthesis, what's so fascinating is that it seems like as you get into resonance in the seams of reality, so the churn of the, super humongous causal masses of civilizations and collective consciousnesses and all that exist right now that we're all connected to, that stuff has the same types of structure. Wow. But it's inside of information. This is KQ is exactly the way I had my original setup going. So it was the structure, how long could you maintain a flow, a tension structure, and resonate with something, and then before your deformation of your neural schematic structure. So what we found now is that is not necessarily the exact same structure. It's that you're creating a combination of elemental configurations across the body which maintain the same cesium refraction amount for the actual orientation to the stimuli. So somehow you're able to maintain your orientation no matter what the stimuli directionality is coming through. That's the COXETER rotation, 84 rotation that's symmetrical all the way through. It doesn't know what's going to necessarily happen, but it keeps itself symmetrical. That's exactly what we do, and that's the entry into the 7th orbital, but it happens at every geodesic. So each level at 7 and 8, it does the same thing. So, and then this came out and was your particular place in genetic evolution, and then at the bottom was the level of technology that you had access to based off of your level of genetic evolution and your capacity to use it. So somehow those are actually two of the same things, but that's how I originally thought of quantum energy mass, or quantum efficiency at mass scale. So Q9 is quality at, no, yeah, that's the path. So 9 is the path straight through. 5 to the 9th, it reports electron information into the 720 or 6 factorial, which is the relativistic contraction at 4 of 4 pi, which is the minimum requirement into the Higgs space, or into hadronization, because if you think about the top quark, it moves four units, not 5, and therefore it cannot become a full bit of information. It cannot hadronize. It has all these different things that disintegrate, and then it follows the same patterns of gamma decay as the biophotons that we release inside the body. Anyways, it's and that's why it's right there at the gold relativistic orbital speed. It's because it's the same resting mass as the mass of gold right there. 173.1 is what we're really looking for. I think it's actually 1729 or something in there, right, real close to the coupling constant that I identified, which is a square root of pi minus 0.5. And that's one term, and then minus phi, which is the 1 plus the square root of 5 over 2. Okay, so that's the real coupling constant. That's really right there. But the scalar that you apply to that is the dampening term that's going to be tied to this quantum efficiency that I was talking about. And it is actually the process of this J going into the Hermitian matrix from your Taylor expansion and then being regularized by Q. And then so what we get fucked up is this valuation. We have no idea how to value this, because when we transition to a feminine-based psychological and physiological structure, the farther we get into surplus. There's nothing we can do about it. That's what happens. So we have to regularize ourselves and turn ourselves back into this. This is our goal, guys, individually, in our own lives. Let's do it. God is awesome.